Jesus has, I don't really like to use the term very much anymore because it's not always helpful, but Jesus has a vision for the church. And in other words, he has an idea. When he went to the cross, he had this idea of his church, if I can put it like that. He had something in mind, a vision in that sense. And in this church, he has something in mind for this church. When I talk about, or in the first session, thinking about vision, it's, what does the Lord have in mind? And that's why we looked at those things, that we might worship him more, that we might be this family of God, that we might exalt his name, that we might love one another, that we might gather around the table and break bread together, and those things. That's part, at least, of his vision for the church. And so we want to do those things the best way that we can and fulfill what his idea is for us. Well, in these next two sessions, or in the next session, which is split into two parts really, it's thinking about Jesus' mission and ours. Okay? So the first was, thinking about the vision, as it were. Today, this afternoon, thinking about his mission. And we're going to look really at one verse, or, how do I put it? One saying of Jesus. Just so you know this is helpful to understand when you're reading the Bible. That in Jesus' time, and particularly in his ministry, he would communicate using repetition and various other things. And in other words, he would tell things in a particular way and repeat that, so that people would learn it. You can imagine the disciples being with him everywhere he went, hearing often the very same words being repeated. That is how they got to write. They lived in a culture where you memorised things. And so that's why sometimes when you look in the Gospels, for example, the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew, you've got, and then you've got the Sermon on the Plain in Luke. Now, they may have been the same event, but they may well have been two different events. But there's much of the material that's the same, but there's things that are different. Now, the disciples were with them, and with Jesus in all these places, they'll have learned. And that's how they've been able to reproduce in the Gospels a lot of his teaching. Well, this was one of the things that Jesus taught, no doubt repeatedly. Okay, so in Matthew chapter 9, and we thought about this a little bit in the past, on a Sunday, but I'm bringing it back to us now to remind us about his mission and ours. Matthew chapter 9, verse 35 to 38. You've got a Bible detail there. And if you're quick finding your way around the Bible, also look up Luke chapter 10, verses 1 to 3. Now this is quite clearly two separate occasions. It's not just two versions in the Gospel of the same occasion. This is two separate occasions. So Matthew 9. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." And then in Luke chapter 10, verses 1 to 3. After this, the Lord appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. He told them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Go, I am sending you out like lambs among wolves." So in the Gospel of Matthew, straight after that little passage we read, he sends out the 12. And in this one, he sends out the 72. So these are two separate occasions. My guess is every time he sent them out, he probably repeated these words. Because he wanted to get it through. Whether that's right or not, these are two separate occasions, and we're hearing those words repeated this morning because the Lord wants us to get what he's teaching us here. Now, something for us to notice initially is that we can talk about God's mission or the mission of Jesus and talk about our mission is to continue his mission. Now that is true, and if you look at the Gospel of Luke and you look at the book of Acts, it makes it quite clear from the sort of introduction to the Gospel. The introduction to the book of Acts is a kind of continuation of Jesus' ministry. So it says, I wrote to you, Theophilus, this is at the beginning of the book of Acts, about all that Jesus began to do and teach. The implication being this is all that he continues to do, but now through his people. Okay? So there is a similarity or a sameness about the mission of Jesus and the mission of the church, our mission. But it's also important to understand there is a difference between the mission of Jesus and the mission of the church. So the things that are the same, but there are differences. And we can get confused about that, and when we do that, we start taking on as part of our mission that which isn't part of our mission. Okay, so we read in verse 35 of Matthew, Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues. Well, our mission isn't to teach in all the synagogues, is it? Although we want to teach in the synagogues if we get a chance. But it's not primarily our mission, although making the good news known is. But this is what it says. Proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and look what it says, healing every disease and sickness. Jesus, part of his mission was to demonstrate his authority as God's anointed king with power over sickness, disease, suffering, the elements, just about everything, okay? And so, in order to, what he did is he healed every sickness and disease. He didn't have like a bunch of people come to him and some got healed and some didn't. Every single person that Jesus commanded to be healed was healed. Now that is not an aspect of Jesus' ministry that is ours. Now that's not to say that the Lord will not heal people through us at times. It's not to say that the Lord won't give a person even a healing ministry of some kind. That can happen. I'm not writing that out. But what I'm saying is, this is a difference between Jesus' mission and ours. The Lord in his sovereignty can heal anyone from his people at any time he chooses. But this isn't primarily our mission. If it was, and this is what we could do. We could go up to Brighton Hospital and solve all their problems, couldn't we? Just go up there, go around the hospital, heal everyone. Okay? Wouldn't need doctors and nurses. There's enough Christians in Brighton Home to put all the doctors and nurses out of a job. Wouldn't need it anymore. Because everyone would be healed. But that was Jesus' ministry. That was exactly it. He could have gone up to work Brighton Hospital and healed everyone. Okay? But we don't have that power. That has not been given to us. So we, as we trust in the Lord, will pray for people to be healed. Sometimes it gives conviction that he's going to heal them. We pray according to that conviction, and where the Lord has given that faith, that person will be healed. We can have confidence about that. But most of the time, we know he can heal. We know that he has ultimately, all who trust in him will be completely healed. But we don't know that he will heal in a particular situation every time. There are sicknesses that end in death. And that's just the way it is. So there's a difference there between Jesus' ministry and mission and ours. And there are other differences too. But what is the same is that we are to proclaim the good news of the kingdom. And that's what he said, that's what he's called all believers full time to do. Now, coming back to this verse, the main thing, I don't want us to get hooked up on that, because the main thing is, or a couple of things I want us to notice, is firstly how Jesus views the crowds. Now, in both passages, particularly in Matthew, it says that Jesus himself went through all the towns and villages proclaiming the good news, right? So that's what he did. He went through all the towns and villages proclaiming the good news. Then he sends out the 12, or he sends out the 72, and maybe on other occasions he sent others out as well. But he did it himself, and he engaged others in it. But it tells us that in doing that, he looked out and he saw the crowds. And what that's telling us is, even Jesus, with all of the people that were with him, that was not enough to reach all the crowds. He saw the crowds. And he looks at the people that he's got, and he sees the crowds. It's like, we need to pray and ask the Lord of the harvest to send more workers out. Why? Because we're just not adequate in terms of the number of people that we've got. Okay, that's what's behind this. A recognition of the need of the crowds. And when he sees the crowds, it tells us how he sees them. And here's the thing: it's important for us to, as best we can, to step out of our perspective and try to see things from God's perspective, because the way that he sees things is the way that they really are. Now, we can never perfectly do that. We will always see things from our perspective, but we can do our best to approximate and see things from his perspective. We can ask the Lord, please open my eyes and help me to see things as they really are, as you see them. And this is what it tells us. When he saw the crowds. I think that's a challenge for us in the first place, isn't it? I mean, how often do we think about the crowds and see them and moved with compassion? This is Jesus. This is godliness. Okay? He saw the crowds, and this is what he says. This is how he saw them. Harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. You know, what that is saying, it's not saying this. It's not saying, poor little people are all a bit confused and lost and really don't know their left hand from their right hand. It does say that, but it says more than that. You see, a sheep that has no shepherd is completely, utterly hopeless. A sheep that has no shepherd, because you need to understand this, right? Nowadays, we have shepherds and sheep, but they're penned in, aren't they? They're in little fields with a fence around them. Then they work. They would wander across moors and mountains, and the shepherd would lead them. They would follow the shepherd, right? That's how it works. And the shepherd would protect the sheep. Remember, like David, the shepherd who protected the sheep from lions and bears and wolves? That's what the shepherd did. Why? Because the sheep were defenceless against such creatures. And so the idea, when Jesus said they're like sheep without a shepherd, it's like they've been left on the mountains and no one to protect them. They have no chance. Sheep, by the way, are pretty stupid creatures. I mean, they're really stupid. They'll wander into brambles and thickets trying to get a bit of food, forgetting that they got all this thick wool on them, and then they get stuck. And there they are, stuck in the thickets, and along comes a wolf. He hasn't even got to run. They're just there, so meal on the plate, right, waiting for them. That is a sheep without a shepherd. So when Jesus said they're harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd, what he was saying is these people are completely and utterly hopeless and doomed. They are toast. That is it. So when we think about the crowds out there, Jesus sees them as absolutely hopeless, completely defenceless. Absolutely, that there is nothing for them. That they are only going to be torn to pieces. That's what's going to happen. That is it. That is what a sheep without a shepherd is. It's hopeless. And not just hopeless, it's profoundly sad if that's a person. And Jesus didn't see a person, he saw crowds like that. And that is why it says, when he saw the crowds, he had compassion. Afternoon, John. How are you doing, right? He had compassion, okay? That is how he saw them. Now, here's the question. How do you see the crowds? How do I see the crowds? Do we even see them? Are we moved? Jesus was moved. And to the extent that we do or don't see the crowds, to the extent that we are or are not moved with compassion is the extent that we're close to or distant from the Lord, or the extent that we see things from his perspective or just from our own. And I want to suggest to us that we want to more and more and more see things the way that Christ sees them. The reason that it's revealed to us here how he sees them is so that we would see them like that. That's the purpose. That's why it's been recorded for us. So Jesus was moved by compassion and he saw the crowds. Now you know this. I'll just whiz through a couple of these. Now, Jesus, having seen the crowds, he sent his disciples out, 12 and 72. You know, we are all sent, aren't we? To be a follower of Jesus, to be a disciple, is to follow him and obey all of his commands, which means making known, proclaiming the kingdom of God. So in Mark we read, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. And in 1 Peter, he says, I will send you out to fish, Matthew, to fish for people. And Mark chapter 13, and the gospel of the kingdom must be preached to all the nations. Psalm 96, verses 2 to 4, this is a good one. Each day proclaim the good news that he saves. That was before Christ came. We've got an even greater message of salvation now. Publishes glorious deeds among the nations. Tell everyone about the amazing things he has done. Great is the Lord. Jesus promised to be with us as we go and make disciples in Matthew chapter 28. In 2 Timothy, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love and self-discipline. So, in other words, in light of that, do not be ashamed of the testimony of our Lord. I've got a whole load more, but I'm not going to... That's enough. You don't be convinced in here about that. So we are to see the crowds. Now we don't start with the crowds, okay? Jesus went through all the towns and villages. In other words, there are people on his doorstep. Okay, and that's true for us. When we think about Jesus' mission, it is a global mission. When we think about our mission, here's how it works. Jesus says, you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria, to the ends of the earth. Now that is an outwork. In other words, we begin where we are, for the disciples that was in Jerusalem, in the city that they found themselves in. But there is to be witnesses beyond that, further to Jerusalem. And then beyond that, Samaria, and then the ends of the earth. Now, I want us to understand that in a particular way, and I'm not saying that this is exactly what Jesus meant, but certainly it's included in what Jesus meant. When he talks about, being a witness, sharing our testimony and our faith, our testimony about Lord Jesus, to those in Judea, that is like the people that we really know, the people that we're naturally connected with. The people closest to you. Your friends, your family, your neighbours, your work colleagues, your student friends, whatever they are, those people that you have networks with. Okay, we are to proclaim the message of Christ to those people. Now I know that we all know that, but I'm guessing that we've all got neighbours, colleagues, friends, family, and we have never told them about Jesus. And that is an issue. Now I know that you might say, but we will all say this, I'm sure. The opportunity just hasn't come up. But if you've been friends with a person for any period of time, and the opportunity just hasn't come up, it's because they are very good at avoiding it. They know you're a Christian, right? So they are intentionally avoiding it. That doesn't mean to say that you don't still share the message with them. Because you know what? They don't even know what they're avoiding. They don't know. And right now, they are helpless, doomed sheep. So we must make known to everyone that we know, everyone, about Jesus. Now, I also know this, that one of the reasons why we don't is because we don't want to blow it with them. We don't want to wreck the relationship. Now, we need to do what the Bible instructs us to, with gentleness and respect, always give an answer. We must have gentleness and respect. We're not to be all gung-ho and, lack sensitivity, but ultimately we must share the gospel with them. If people go from here to up the far sides of the earth to share the gospel with strangers, how much more should we share it to the people that we're most close to? And with as much love as we can, and as much sensitivity, and the best that we can with prayer, we share the gospel. If that costs us the relationship, do you know what? It costs us that relationship. We shouldn't value our friends too much. That we'll leave Jesus out of it for the sake of friendship. We'll leave what is most important for the sake of the friendship. That is to exalt the friendship or the relationship above the gospel. I mustn't do that. That's tempting to do. One of the things that I do wonder, and you can make up your own mind about this, think about this, but I wonder if one of the reasons that we don't see more people convert is just because we don't tell more people. And what happens is we've got lots of friendships that we're praying for them, we never get to speak to them. But here's the thing, you can only have, we've got a limited number of people that you can have good friendships with, right? And so if you concentrate on the same people, but you never get to tell them the gospel, do you know what? They never get to hear it, and neither does anyone else. Whereas if we share that message, then maybe they will respond. And if they do, praise God. And if they reject us, then we build a relationship with other people for the same reason. Judah, Jerusalem. Okay, that will be people in our locality outside of our natural networks. Okay, if I can put it like that. Okay, they're people not out of our orbit, they're kind of within our orbit, but maybe we have no relationship with them whatsoever. Could be a neighbour down the street or whatever. Some of them, they're there, you see them every day maybe, but you have no natural connection with them. Those people, they need to hear the gospel. And so we need to be thinking about, how can I connect with that person? Jerusalem, Samaria. Now, when you get to Samaria, that was full of people who were they had some commonality with the Jews, but there were things about them that actually made them enemies. They shared history, and yet there was a hatred almost between them. This reminds me of when me and Paul went up to Scotland, and we went to the pub for cultural, purposes, and we went to the pub to watch the football. So there we were, watching England play, surrounded by the Scots. And it was quite obvious what the Scots thought of the English. And then we were there, there's a few other English in there. But here's the thing, there was a shared history, and that shared history at a superficial level, it was a superficial level. They didn't really hang us, so we got beaten up because we were still cheering for England. But at a superficial level, that history meant there was a kind of animosity between us. Yeah? You understand what I mean? There are people like that, where we've got some history, and history creates a natural boundary, a distance, an animosity. People that maybe have history that you've fallen out with a bit in the past, if they haven't heard the gospel, they still need to hear the gospel. Okay? They still need to hear the gospel. Jesus hasn't said, okay, you don't need to worry about them anymore because you don't like them anymore, they don't like you. Okay? And then Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. That's just beyond. People that you've never even met, people of other cultures who are completely alien. People who aren't Europeans, because we have a certain amount of commonality with Europeans. We can say the same about Australians, the Commonwealth countries in America. But there are other countries that are so alien to us. Their cultures are so different, aren't they? They need to hear the gospel. We have a responsibility to the crowds, those beyond us. Now, so the question is, how are we doing with all of that? Okay, I want to give us a couple of pointers about the people that we're closest to. Okay, here's some suggestions, and that's all they are. It's for you to work it out and for me to work it out how I do it. But I want to suggest why don't you, when you go home, make a list of all the people that you have some sort of relation. That would be a long list, wouldn't it? All the people that you know. And pick 3 people. And for the next 6 months, focus on praying for them. Have an absolute commitment that I'm going to share the gospel with those people. I'm going to build a relationship and I'm going to share the gospel with those people. Have a determination to do that. Start praying for them. Bring their name up at the prayer meetings and that kind of stuff. But start methodically, strategically working through the people that you know. Get intentional about sharing the gospel. That is what it means to be on mission, isn't it? Think about it. Isn't that being on mission? I'm not just here to enjoy our social relationships exist for the sake of the gospel. You should think about that. God's given us these relationships because He wants us to share the gospel. Not, we can turn our social relationships into things that just exist for our personal enjoyment and satisfaction. And praise God, because we want to enjoy those relationships. But the fact that we can enjoy them is the thing that connects us to them. And the fact that we're connected to them means that there's a bridge through which we can communicate the gospel. Again, we mustn't so value that bridge that we don't communicate the gospel. And what is the point in that relationship if we're not going to communicate the gospel? Ultimately, what's the point? So I want to encourage you to, that's just one idea. Maybe you'll think about your neighbours and think, well, there's a neighbour down there, that neighbour I've never ever spoken to about the gospel. I know them, but I've never spoken about the gospel. Maybe you put them on the list. You think, right, how can I start to build a relationship with this person? Okay, let's be intentional. That would be something really good for us to do. Okay, but what about the sort of, Jesus saw the crowds. It wasn't just the people that we needed to be connected to. Each of us, again, we need to find ways of, first of all, we need a compassion, we need to care for the crowds. That's the first thing. You can think of it like this. Just think of Brighton, all the people in Brighton, right there's the crowds, right? How often do we think about those? Maybe like in Burgess Hill or Hayward Heath, there's crowds. Okay? We should care. We should care. Jesus really cares about the crowds. And so maybe we need to come to the Lord and say, Lord, I really, if I'm honest, I'm not really bothered about the crowds at all. But I know that you are. And I want to have a heart that's more like yours and be moved in the way that you are moved. Maybe that's where you need to begin today. That's certainly true for me. Okay? I need to care more. And I'm sure that's probably true for all of us. And the easiest thing is to go away from here and actually just do absolutely nothing about it. That's the easy thing. But that is not the Lord's will or purpose. Okay? So He wants us to do something about it. So make that list and start to work on that, or whatever else. But do something. Second, but think about the crowds. Okay? You can join in to whatever degree you want with what I'm doing, or trying to do. Okay? Here's, as you know, and this is kind of thinking about, this is going to impact us as a church to the degree that there's success. Okay? Where if there's no success, there's not going to have any impact on the church. But here's how I see things. Okay? When I first came to Brighton, the reason I came was because I knew that East Brighton in particular, North and East Brighton, I knew through Eric, was spiritually, it's like a black hole, dead spiritually. Now that doesn't mean to say there aren't some good churches in Brighton, there are. But there's a strip, let's see if I can just look this up for you. There's a strip in East Brighton where, actually, let me show you this first. This is Sussex, okay? What you can see there is mainly Sussex. Now this comes from a website called Datashine. And I'll show you this. This bit here, that's Brighton. Okay, there's London up there. That's where my shadow is. Okay, all these are the towns and that around in Sussex. The redder the area, the less Christians there are. Okay, the larger it gets, the more Christians there are. Now you can see, looking at that, look at just Sussex. Brighton is right at the heart of Sussex. And look at the difference. Okay, that illustrates the point, doesn't it? And when you take a closer look, looking at Brighton, look how red it is. Okay, and I don't know if you can see that. See, it says religion, Christian, up on that thing beside. Dark red, 0%. Slightly light red, 47%. That's Christians. That's not real Christians, necessarily at all. Okay? But the point is, just look at Brighton. There aren't that many places in the country that are like that, not whole cities. Okay? And actually, East Brighton, and by East Brighton, what I mean is, actually I'll show you on the slide. The darkened area, and I would put a line just there, in number 10. That is, for sort of this side of number 10 and the others, that is the area that I'm trying to focus on. Okay? There are 82,000 people, there's a breakdown on the left-hand side that gives you the details. That comes from the boards, the government, the authorities, keepers, from the census, 2008 census. There was 82,000 people in that strip, roughly, in 2011. Okay? Now, the point is, in that strip, you've got CCK, they've got a church, that means in Race Hill, on Race Hill. You've got St Peter's, two big churches, but actually St Peter's is kind of more just on the edge of the strip. And then apart from that, you've got our church, you've got Ebenezer, which has got 14 members. You've got, this church did have a group in Brighton, now they've stopped. And then you've got Park Hill. Oh, and Jerome's church, which is the outreach centre, where it was called, I can't remember. Zion Christian Community Church, Zion Community Church. But they're the church, now I'm not saying there are no other churches, but in terms of proclaiming the gospel, they're the only ones that I know that are doing anything in terms of trying to proclaim the gospel. Okay? Now, the thing is, if you, that strip of people, I don't want to bore you, I hope this doesn't bore you, but it's made up, you've got, they're made up largely of a particular social grade, okay, which is C2 D and E. And that is the lower social grades of society. C2, they're like people in construction and others. They tend to be working class, but they might have the same amount of money as people in C1. C1, they're administrators and managers in offices and that kind of stuff, yeah? School teachers, etc. So C2 might have more money than people in C1, but they're a different grade, social grade. But the point is, the working class, it makes up that strip largely, the 48%. And they're the people you don't find in the churches. So if you go to St Peter's, which is right on the edge of that, what you'll find is not that many of those people in that church. And that is true if you go to Race Hill. But here's the thing. That is true when you go to New Life Church. That is true when you go to Ebenezer. This is what it is. Park Hill probably do better than anyone else in terms of more local people. But as a church, whether they're, who knows how long they can be around for. And in fact, Ebenezer as well, who knows how long they can be around for. The point is, this part of Brighton is so desolate spiritually. So desolate. And so what I'm doing, now in Sussex, remember that graph, that picture I showed you of Sussex and the lighter areas? I've been banging on to a lot of those churches saying, come on, look, while you've got strength, come and do something in Brighton. Come and plant a decent church and a big church, because there's not one that's focused on that area. But I've been doing that for I don't know how many years now, and there's nothing on the horizon, nothing. Okay? which means that it's down to the churches in the area. Because if we don't try and do something, guess who else is? You can answer that. Who else is going to do it if we don't?
No one.
No one. Maybe there will be someone, we shouldn't expect that. And so the question that I'm asking myself is, what can I do for our church to gain traction and grow, and for the other churches to gain traction and grow? Because there's no point in us just trying to strengthen ourselves. We need a lot more, right? And that is the reason for the connection with churches in America, because I've been banging the drum in the UK for I don't know how long. No one's coming, okay? But in America, people will come. I shared this with the Sussex Gospel Partnership last Wednesday, and a number of people came up to me afterwards and said, they felt convicted because people are coming all the way from America, but no one in the area. Some of these churches are bigger churches. There are about 700 people in one of the churches in Sussex. Yet no one was any sense of call for this area. You wonder, are they seeing the crowds like Jesus? And for anyone that would say, but Julie, you're biased because you live in Brighton. Well, I moved to Brighton because of that, to say, I'm biased because I live there. Well, what about when I didn't live there? And for others that moved in for that reason. So that is why we do what we do. Now, here's how it impacts you, okay? If we're successful in bringing people over from the States, they will come and many of them will be part of our church. Just be like Erin, she was here for a while, she'd like to come back. They become part of the church. And so you are not disconnected from the work that I am trying to, the things that I'm trying to achieve. Which means that, there's an opportunity for you as well. So that when people come, they hopefully get excited and that we welcome them well, that they feel, I do want to work with these people. I want to come and join with them in the mission. Now I'm telling you this because, let me give you a couple of encouragements as well. So the first one is this: for the plan to work that I had, we need properties. Because when they come over, they need somewhere to stay. And I was hoping, I've been putting the word out there that any Christian landlords will get in contact and buy properties in East Brighton so we can fill them with missionaries. But so far nothing. But we have had a donor who has said, we will give you £300,000 to buy a property. So that's good. That means we can get a 3 or 4 bedroom place, and then their income come to start with. Okay, so by the way, that is massive, isn't it? To be given £300,000. And the people that are giving it to us, it's easy to think, man, they must be rolling in it, right? They're not. They have a second property. They explained it to me. They inherited, they're a married couple, they're an old married couple, they inherited the property while they were quite newly married. So what they wanted to do was sell it, because they didn't want to burn into a property. They couldn't sell it, so what they did is they got an estate agent to let it out, and they've just forgotten about it since. But when they saw a prayer letter that I wrote, they thought, we don't need that property, we'll just sell it and move the churches in the UK to fund missionaries from America. So we've got that connection now. And that was one that we didn't have before. And then I've got another connection, which is, it's called AT3. I don't know why it's called AT3, because it's transatlantic, blah, 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 but it's AT3 anyway. And what they do is they send people over to the UK, they pay for them to go through like Bible college or some sort of training. Now why do they do that? Because these are people that feel called to the UK. Rather than train them in America for mission ministry in the UK, they send them here and they train them here and they place them with churches. So there's one in the church in Haverty that I met recently. There's another connection. So there are resources out there that I think that we can continue to exploit and hopefully begin to make progress. Now here's, like I said, this will impact you. So here's how it's going to impact you. The plan is, my plan, is twice a year we will have a week. And they will be like taster weeks, where a group will come over from America and spend a week with us and go back. The aim is we'll do stuff together like we did with the Americans last time, but the primary purpose is for them to think about, is this, the reason they come over in the first place is because they think maybe they should be working with us. So come over, spend a bit of time, go back. Then if they think, yeah, there is something in that, then they'll come over again for 90 days, because then you have to get a different sort of visa. But they'll come over for 90 days and spend an extended period of time with us. And that really happens to get to know us, just like Aaron. So we can expect this to be happening more. And then, hopefully they'll come back and work with us permanently. So twice a year that will happen. So that'll be happening in May and July next year, probably. And we'll fix those weeks. But at that time when they come, they'll be fixed, it'll be the same week every year. I want to encourage you, like I said, if you've got other ways of reaching out and caring for the crowds, that's fine. You give yourself to those things. But this is something that you can give yourself to as well, as much as you can. When those people come, to etch that time out in your diary and do make the most of the opportunity to get to know them, to share about your story and about what we're trying to do. So that's one thing that you can do. And then the other thing, the key thing, is to pray. For us as a church to be praying. Now, things do move slowly, and that's really hard because you'll hear about something and you hear about it again and nothing seems to be happening, right? And I know that that's not easy, but things are hard to get going. But we need to persevere in prayer and not give up. And so, for example, it was about 3 years ago we talked about New Life Advocacy, right? Well, we've launched it now. I know that maybe you don't all know that, but we have. It's actually started happening. And that took a long time, but that's happening now. And this, it may take time, but if we can see the progress there, this is a way that you can be involved in caring, seeing the crowds. That's why we're doing it. We see that probably about 86,000, I reckon, in that strip now, because the population is growing all the time. 86,000. And by the way, okay, just got to mention this. Brighton, the 2011 census of 275,000 people. Okay, they reckon that in the next 20 years there will be another 30,000 added. Now, how many more churches do you think will be added in that time? To match those numbers? Nothing, really. So yeah, that just, again, it just shows we're so far behind the curve that we need more resources. And that's why the Lord said, ask the Lord of the harvest to send more labourers. And when we pray and ask Lord, send more labourers, we're not passive about it. We want to pursue that with everything we've got, right? If we're praying for it, Lord, send more labourers, we don't just sit passively and wait for him to send them. We ask, we seek, we knock till doors start opening, right? That's what I would encourage us to do. So, that's what I'm doing in terms of mission. It's, you don't have to, it's between you and the Lord, how you tap into caring for those crowds. But this is a way that you can be a part of it. And if you choose to be a part of it in other ways, all I can say to you is this, amen. If you're doing that, praise God. I've got no problem with it whatsoever. But one way or another, you can do that.